Hi, welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. Hope you're well. Today we're going to go on a bit of a ramble. We're going rambling. So get yourself comfy, bring a flask with you to your coffee, maybe something a little stronger, and let's go rambling. Got a bet for tomorrow, price depending, and there's going to be a couple of tips for Cheltenham. One horse I mentioned a couple of times before, feeling a bit stronger on that horse now, and the other one's 50 to 1 there, so yeah. Couple of bits before we get going, just to tidy up from last week. Figure Rock had 6 hurdle runs, not 4, and Firefox stayed on nicely into 4th, not 3rd. I will make some mistakes, I do make a few notes, but a lot of it's still in my head. Some nice horses coming out now. We're starting to see the odd one or two. There's a listed mares hurdle race today at Gowran. Magical Zoe. We've all probably got, a jockey or two. I'm pretty kind with jockeys, to be fair, but there's one jockey, Adrian Heskin. Apologies, don't like being critical too much of these guys, but I not back this guy for years now. Back Magical Zoe at Cheltenham, and it all came flooding back as to why I don't back this guy. Blue here. Hey Blue. I know she often makes an appearance. Beautiful dog. She's a husky cross with a German shepherd. Yeah, beautiful dog. She's stunning. Fucking mental. Tell you, if you like a nice, quiet, peaceful life, don't be getting one of these. Go on then, Blue. Over there. Over there. Go on. Come. Go on, let you chill. Yeah, daft as a brush. Yeah, but yeah, love her. But yeah, they're. All right now, I'll crack on. Right then, yeah, where were we? Eskin, yeah, sorry. Oh, Jesus, yeah, look, if it weren't a grade 1, if it weren't a big race at Cheltenham, I think they'd add him up for the non-trials rule, I mean, fair enough, might not have won, but Jesus, never put the horse in with a chance of winning the race there. I mean, she's odds on today, she wins, I won't bat an eyelid, I'm like immune to him now. It's served me well over the years. And Aurora Vega is in the listed bumpers race. She's running against proper horses now, so we should learn a lot about her today. She's odds on. I'm not a big odds on better, so I've not backed her or anything. But I wish her all the best. I hope she does well. Makes her, does herself well, does her family proud, and let's see where we stand with her after today. After some black type today, it's listed race, valuable broodmare this, we'll know a lot more after today. You'll know a lot more than me because you're probably watching this after. Tomorrow there's a couple of interesting races. We've got a 2.5 mile grade 2 at Gowran. Last year's winner, Easy Game, is back again. Very early shows, 5 to 2, I'd say, is not bad. Envoy Allen is the odds-on favourite. Put him in at 8-11. Just one sec, sorry about this. Sorry, apologies. Fucking Amazon man or whatever. You know what? You know, wife's like fucking. We've got bags. Sheen. Got bags. Never been fucking open. Like, you know how many cushions she's got? Well, she's got more clothes. Right, yeah. Off to a interesting start today. Right. Where were we now? Oh yeah, Envoy Allen, yeah. I mean, this demonstrates what we're saying about official ratings last week. Envoy Allen has a penalty to carry, £4 penalty. He's rated £5 higher on official ratings than Easy Game. £5. Think about that. 3 times Cheltenham Festival winner, £5 higher than Easy Game. Good horse that Easy Game is. And Allen's it's a bigger golfing class there than £5. Saying that, he's not the sort of horse to be backing at odds on, Envoy Allen. I was a little surprised to see him in this. You'd imagine his big target, he's got a big ring around Down Royal, given his record there, and Cheltenham. So it would not surprise me at all to see him go down tomorrow. I'd almost be looking to take him on, to be honest. So I'd give Easy Game a good shout. Probably want the ground. It's heavy at the moment. He won't want it too heavy, I don't think, that horse. Gentleman's Game's interesting. He's got a lot to do on the ratings. I was thinking, you know, if this horse is like 10-1 or so, I was thinking he might be worth just a small speculative bet there to cause a bit of an upset. But they put him in at 7-2, which short enough. So yeah, I haven't got anything, you know, solid for that race, but it's an interesting race anyway. The bet I mentioned would be in the beginner's chase that closes the card. A horse called Let's Be Clear About It. It's 8-year-old son of Flemonsforth. Had some fair form in bumpers, plenty of time off the track. Came back last season in novice hurdles, ran to a fair level. He won at Punchestown 3 Mile Heavy Ground. He ran 4th in the Albert Bartlett and dropped to 2.5 mile, ran 4th behind Irish Point. Grade 1 races, them last 2. Always, you know, this guy's a chaser, running over hurdles last season. He should be well up to winning his beginners. I'd be wanting kind of 6-4-ish or bigger for him. So I'm not a big odds-on backer. You've got to have a tremendous strike rate there to be making a good profit. The only thing that I'd have in the back of my mind about him is, you know, he's 8 now, he's not getting any younger, he'll be 9. This guy looks like a likely lad for races like the 4 Miler and the Irish National. With if pushed, I'd say Irish National this year. They might have a ring around that, and then the English National next year. With that in mind, it won't be the biggest surprise if he's a little disappointing this side of Christmas while he's running for his handicap mark. You know, but he should be up to winning this. Yeah, but that's just, you know, I won't go smashing in at odds on there. He's probably left plenty to work on, Cromwell. But yeah, we're getting a few coming out now. Okay. Ten horses not to follow. This I actually found quite difficult, to be honest, and it's kind of strange because you'd think it's much easier to tip a loser up at Cheltenham than a winner at this stage, but you know, the 10 horses to follow there, I could have given you 25 easy. 10 not to follow was a bit of a stretch, but I managed it just about. A little bit artistic license. We one race we'll come to. Because obviously, I mean, I'm not going to give you a bunch of like 110 rated horses, you know, not to follow. What I've done is I've looked at the Cheltenham races and I've just focused in on horses quoted at single figures for Cheltenham and tried to give you 10 of those. So, you know, these are all good horses. Grade 1 winners, you know, festival winners, many of them. So I'm not saying these are bad horses, these are good horses, top class horses, and they're going to win races, but just maybe not necessarily the race that they're favourite for at Cheltenham, okay. So, no messing, first race, Supreme, Novice Hurdle, favourite, A Dream to Share, 9-2 best price. Swept all before him in bumpers, taking in the grade 2 at the DRF, grade 1s at the Cheltenham Festival and Punchestown. So what's not to like? Okay, firstly, none of the last 10 bumper winners went on to win the Supreme. Stats, always ask why. I mean, just always ask why, you know. You have that as a kid, don't you? You're always asking why. Don't lose that ever, you know, in all walks of life. Why? Some stats can be totally misleading. I mean, just to give you some context, I can say the last 10 didn't win the Supreme. The one before that was Champagne Fever, who did. You know. So it is possible. Looking at the list of these horses that won the bumper, a lot of them are high class. A lot of them Feyenoord, some others there. Didn't really, you know, a lot of them had problems, physical. Maybe that's just a reflection on how fragile these horses are. Maybe there's a little bit of the bumper being quite a brutal race from at this stage in their careers. Maybe that can have an effect. I don't know. Probably a bit of both. So yeah, why? Well, I'll give you a couple of my thoughts. As a bumper race is effectively a 2 mile hurdle race without any hurdles. If you take hurdles out of the hurdle race, it becomes more of a staying contest. And say, just look at the horses A Dream to Share's beat there in his last few starts. You've got Factor File, he beat a couple of times. Captain Teague came third at Cheltenham, and Tully Hill. A lot of these horses are embryonic 3 mile chasers. Tully Hill might have a little bit more pace about him, but generally, yeah, these, he's been beating 3 mile chasers of the future. This year he's going to be meeting totally different type of horse altogether in these grade 1 2 mile hurdle races, much speedier types. So that's one thing. Another is, these horses are just, in the bumpers, they're just babies, They're developing at different rates. Some mature quicker than others. So, think of it like a 2-year-old flat racing. Flat horses tend to mature a little quicker. But if you get a sharp, well-developed 2-year-old, it's got a hell of an advantage there. But then, when it comes out as a 3-year-old, a lot of these other horses have improved past it, So there's a bit of that, I'd say, as well. So that's something else to note. On top of that, Nicky and Willie, they tend to dominate these 2-mile races at Cheltenham. You've got the Supreme, the Arkle, the Champion Hurdle, the Champion Chase, Reason for that, I guess they're just getting faster horses, Everyone wants a Gold Cup winner, don't they, But these guys have maybe got a bit more of an eye on the 2-milers as well. And if one of them ends up staying 3 mile, then you've got like a galloping, there's a reason for that, They're not the top trainers for no reason. So it's kind of like a cycle as well. Because if you have what you think is a top class potential 2-mile horse, because of the record these guys have got with them, you're probably more likely to send it to a Nicky Henderson or Willie Mullins as well. So it's kind of cyclical like that. But yeah, they've took 7 out of the last 10 of the Supremes. That's domination from 2 stables there. So against that backdrop, I could not be taking 9-2 favourite for this horse. This is kind of roughly how season going. He's due out in a couple of weeks, so they're getting him out pretty early. I'd expect him. He's a good horse, top class horse. So, he's going to win his maiden hurdle, no bother there. Impressively, I'd have thought. Because they're getting him out early, I'd imagine, they've got a ring around the Royal Bond. Willie's 18 won't be out around that time. He'll take some beating in that. I'd expect him to take the Royal Bond. So in the short term, his price might well shorten up there. So, if you're kind of into your trading and stuff, maybe he's not such a terrible bet at 9-2. But I'd be trading out after the Royal Bond, because then you're getting on to Christmas, Leopardstown. Willie's getting going now. He may have something at Christmas to beat him. And if not by Christmas, certainly when we get round to the DRF and the Moscow flyout, Willie's in full flight, and I would expect he's going to have one or two horses better than this. You ask the bookie now to price you up a match bet. The DRF, A Dream to Share versus Willie Mullins. I'd be surprised if they didn't make Willie odds on. And then by the time they get round to Cheltenham, you've got Nicky as well. He's probably unearthed something by that stage. I know he didn't last year, but you know, generally he's got one as well. So yeah, it's quite an easy one for me, to be honest. But I'd be surprised if A Dream to Share is favourite come the Supreme in March. So that's the first one. Second one, no messing, second race. Favourite Arkle, Marine National, 5-2 top price, 5-2, September. I like this horse. This horse is a good horse, a really good horse. I'll tell you how good I think this horse is. If we had tomorrow Cheltenham course distance, you got Facile Vega, Marine National, State Man, Imperi Pass. Good to soft in places, good pace, they all jump round clean, no hard luck stories. You have to pick a horse to win. I'd be picking this fella, I think, at this stage of the season. I think Imperi Pass will improve plenty through the season, but certainly now I will be picking this fella. He's got a savage kick after the last. He travels everywhere and he's got this savage kick. Savage. And therein kind of lies, in a funny way, my kind of issue, concern, if you like, I'd have for this horse. After the Supreme last year, I watched the Supreme with my dad. I won Facile Vega, but to be honest, I'd actually, I played him ante-post at 4-1. I traded out on him, less than 4-1. I traded out on him after the disaster at Dublin. Honestly, I didn't think he'd even get there. It's such a bad run. I had doubts, but I'd got a double with Constitutional at 3-1 and Facile Vega at 4-1, and I'll let that run. Constitutional was, can't remember, a lot shorter there than threes at the time, so I let that run. And so, but I weren't heavily invested, at the time. It was a funny Supreme for me. But yeah, I watched it with my dad, and the first thing I said after the race is, we've been done there by a proper sharp 2-mile hurdler. Being done for toe by a proper sharp 2-mile hurdler. And that's what I think he is. I think he's a brilliant horse, and I think he'd be up to winning a normal kind of champion hurdle. Doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be winning Arkles and champion chases, though. I mean, We Can Fly, say, wouldn't necessarily be winning an Arkle Sprinter Sacre wouldn't necessarily be winning a champion hurdle. I don't think they would have done, you know. It's a different game. I know, you know, I like Facile Vega, and yeah, I kind of meant to say this at the beginning. It's only natural when you like a horse for a race to try and just pull everything else apart, you know, on sometimes little, you haven't got much basis for that, but you know, it's a natural thing to try and do. But honestly, I had this, that's, you know, take Facile Vega out of the race and that'd be just my concern. 3 winners of the Supreme had gone on to win the Arkle in the last 10 years. Shishkin, Altior and Douvan. Now, the way I see it, like I say, I think this guy would be up to winning a champion hurdle, a normal champion hurdle. Shishkin, Altior, they wouldn't have been winning a champion hurdle. Douvan, and therein kind of lies your hope a little bit, because Douvan, I love Douvan. You know, I backed him for the Supreme after his maiden hurdle. He just oozed class, this horse. He just glided. What a horse, what class. This horse probably didn't sweat because he was that good, but if he did, he'd have sweated champagne. He'd have sweated Bollinger or something, you know. He was that bursting with fucking class, this horse. Looked all over a chaser. I have a little theory with Douvan. I think, even though, despite his looks, you just send him chasing every day of the week, I think this guy would have been winning champion hurdles. He was that good. I don't think he was a natural chaser. I remember Ruby saying this horse, he didn't jump his fences, he didn't make the right shape. He says he just hurdled his fences. He was a tall horse. He says he just hurdled them. He was flat and fast, which was good when it worked. But I just kind of wonder, you know, with the problems he had later on, if that was maybe why, because he didn't have the right technique. He might have been putting sort of straining muscles and his back there a little, you know. Yeah, Douvan. What a horse. But yeah, that's... Right. In a nutshell then, I'm just not... I'd have a little doubt there if he's going to translate all of his hurdles form, all his class over hurdles, to chasing. And he's going to have to, because there is the shadow of Facile Vega looming over him. I'd say he was stone better nearly. I don't know what the figures say, but over hurdles he was comfortably better than Facile Vega. I mean, when I watched the race, the Supreme, first off, you're watching your horse, aren't you, mainly? And, you know, did the usual thing, kicked off the bend, I think he's away and gone here. And then you saw Marine Nationale, and it was like, oh. And you watch the replay, and if you back Marine Nationale and you were watching him, you were never that worried, really. He just had a big target around on Paul's back there, tracked him all the way through and just did him for toe after the last. Yeah, he was comfortably better than Facile Vega, but this is a different ball game, and I do think Facile Vega is going to improve a ton for a fence. So this guy, he's going to have to translate all of that ability, and maybe some, over fences. It's schooled well. Bullish reports that they always school well. These horses, when they're going over fences, they're always schooling well. We'll see on the race course. Even if Vassar Vega weren't in the race, I'd want to see this horse first time up in his beginners. And if that goes well, I'd like to see him under pressure in a Grade 1, probably at Christmas at Leopardstown, before I'd be going in on this horse. 5-2 in September. You don't want to be having any doubts, and Vassar Vega or no Vassar Vega, that would be my doubt about him. So yeah. Also, just as a side note, 7 out of the last 10 Arkles Nicky and Willie have took as well, but obviously that didn't stop this fella last year in the Supreme, so you couldn't really beat him with that. But it is there, history suggests the likelihood is this will be going to Nicky Henderson or Willie Mullins. So that's the second one. Third race. We're jumping up to Thursday now, and the Ryanair. 4 horses here, quoted in single figures. Gaillard de Mesnil. Yeah, that's right. Gaillard de Mesnil. John Bon, El Fabiolo, and Allaho. Gaillard de Mesnil. Honestly, one bookie says Gaillard de Mesnil at 8-1 for this. They got to be on drugs. That's good shit to be putting this horse in at 8-1. But I'll take it. That's one. Don't back Gaillard de Mesnil at 8-1 for this. Just don't. They've taken a penny for that. They won't lock it up. So I don't think we need to say much about that one. John Bond, he won't be running in this. He's going to be running in the Champion Chase. He just is. Right? The only way he runs in this is if he runs bad this season, like really bad. You don't want him backing an horse in single figures for Cheltenham, hoping that he runs bad. So yeah, forget John Bond. El Fabiolo. I suppose there is, because he'd eat 2.5, he would. Yeah, there is a world somewhere, some alternate reality somewhere. There's a world where Enegamine smashes up El Fabiolo and El Fabiolo goes to Ryanair. Personally, I don't think we're living in that world. I'm happy El Fabiolo goes Champion Chase, so I won't be backing him for this. Allaho. This is another fantastic horse, Allaho. Tall, towering, imposing fucking horse. I mean, you kind of know. Do you know, something always stuck in my head. I used to love Best Mate. I love Best Mate. Backed him in all his Gold Cups. Henrietta Knight said he had the look of eagles. I always just stuck in my mind for some reason, and Allaho has that. I think, it's like, you stood in the presence of greatness with this horse, and it's like he knows you are too. He's that good. We'll never forget his performance in that first Ryanair. That was just fucking boom. It's just mind blowing. we're going to back any of these, it would be him, just on that basis. But, right, we're putting a bunting head on here. He's single figures. He's going to be a 10-year-old. He's had his issues. He's been out for a season. For every sprinter sacre you get 100. But don't, you know. You learn through experience. It's a quick way to get poor by backing these horses to come back to what they were. As sad as it is, because, I mean, he's a fantastic horse. He's really hard on himself. I mean, this horse just runs as fast as he can, and nothing can keep up with him. He's hard on himself. He leaves it all on the line. That'll make it, to me, less likely as well that he's going to come back to former glories. So, you know, yeah, hard head on there, you've got to say. You couldn't be backing this horse in single figures for Ryanair. But he is some horse. So yeah, I had a little look at this race, right? Because, you know, you've got three really, I guess. Technically four. In single figures, you know, easy for me to cross these horses out. Sir Gerhard, 50-1. This horse, he's had 12 runs in his life, 4 bumpers, 4 hurdles, 4 chases, so he's not got much mileage on the clock. He'll be 9 next year, he's 8 now. Twice a festival winner, won the bumper and the Ballymore. This is a classy horse. He's always kind of oozed class, this horse. Went a bit wrong last year. I don't think Willie were ever really happy with him. He didn't come out till late January. Won his novice, you know, didn't jump the best. It was, you know, he weren't great, but he won his novice. I mean, if you watch this horse in the Ballymore, I'd have thought this horse wants to drop into 2 mile rather than going 3, but he threw him in the RSA. I think the thinking were because his jumping weren't great. And they just wanted to give him more time to settle into a rhythm there. Better form, you know, he came last to 9 finishers, beating 46 lengths. Trainer's rep said he jumped poorly. It was a little bit harsh. He certainly weren't great early on, but he threw in plenty of good leaps. He got warmed up, you know, as the race went on. I thought he jumped all right. And he came there, to be fair, if you watch it back, sort of from the 5th fence, 5 out, 4 out, 3 out, he was bang there, travelling nice. Maybe not holding on to as much as it looked, but yeah, if you'd backed him, you probably had a little hope there until 2 out, and then I think maybe his stamina ebbed away. I don't think this horse was ever really on form last year. And he well beat in the end. Then he came out, ran at Fairyhouse. He ran well. Grade 1, 2.5 mile behind Flame Bearer. Ran him close to half a length. That much more like it. You know, good run. Not, I would say, his best form still, but you know, at least it showed there's still a horse there. Then he went on to Punchestown and he just blew out. But this fella hates Punchestown, you know, he just don't like it. End of the season, Punchestown, yeah. Edroy Allen, Sheaverley Park, won the bumper, won the Ballymore. Wheels fell off a bit over fences, came back, won the Ryanair as a 9-year-old. He's got a very similar profile. And Voilan won the bump as a 5-year-old. This fellow won it as a 6-year-old, so he'd got an extra season chasing and Voilan. But yeah, very strikingly similar profile. If Willie can get this guy back, he's got the class. He's going to have to maybe, I think he might have banned Easy Sauce, I'm not sure. All these horses tend to have issues we mainly don't find out about. But yeah, if Willie can get this horse back, if he can get a clear run with him this season, dual festival winner, he's got class, he's well up to winning a Ryanair, I'd say, you know. So at least he's got the class at 50-1. Just throw, you know, I think he's just worth throwing a bit of change at anyway at 50-1. You know, he might, obviously, he might be gone now, but so he's only 8 at the moment. It's worth a bit of change, I'd say, at 50s. Right then, so just got 3 races to go now. Stayers Hurdle is next. This is where I maybe used a little bit of artistic license here, if you like. Basically what I'm saying is anything that ran in the Stayers Hurdle last year, no. Just no. Just put a fucking line through a lot of them. Teapot, Classical Dream, Owned by the Lead, Blazing Carl, all these guys, no. Up to last year, no horse had got beat anyway in a Stayers for a long time and come back and won. The fact Cider Burley did it as an 11-year-old after getting put in his place a couple of years earlier by Flooring Porter really just demonstrates as much of a little fucking legend Cider Burley is, you know, he is a dude of a horse. I think it just demonstrates what a fucking piss poor race this were. This is just crying out, this division, for something. And hopefully, we've got it with Gaelic Warrior. So I've sort of spoken a little about him before. Like I said in my first video, I don't think this horse has ever been at his best at Cheltenham. He certainly prefers going right-handed. For that reason, I think you wouldn't want to send this horse, I don't think, to a Browns on a track he's been below his best at the last 2 years. He could fucking run out at the last. He could end up doing like a might bite type thing. He could end up in the fucking Guinness Village or something, you know. The Stayers Hurdle track should suit him a lot better because it's not as tight, and if he wants to come up that rail after the last, he can, you know. He's class. You look at these horses and he just stands out to me. You know, Willie upped him to 3 Mile Punchestown. Paul switched him off. You know, maybe it weren't the greatest race ever, to be fair, but God, he looks so good, and you know, hit the line hard. You know, the stiffer test of the Stayers Hurdle could bring about more improvement. I've got this in my mind. I mean, Gaelic Warrior coming into this division would be like Lionel Messi dropping Lionel Messi into the Vanarama North League or something, just turns up for fucking Kings Lynn or something, That's what Gaelic Warrior would do for this division. I've got this. I've just got it in my head, this picture, and I can't shake it. And you've got all these by the Lees and teapots being ridden along, coming to the last. And Paul's just there. He's just there on the steel in these Ricky colours, these beautiful pink colours, and he's just on the. Yeah, I want to see that. I do. I hope we get to see it. And even I suppose if he sends him chasing because they want to go the Gold Cup route with him, I just pray there's got to be some other horses coming into this division. So yeah, basically anything that ran in the Stayers last year, no, just no, no. So then we got two left. Mares Novice Hurdle. It's one horse in single figures, Dysart Enos. One good to soft, good at Ludlow, Market Raisin and Aintree. Aintree, she was very impressive. I'll give her that, she were. She's quite a small horse, this. Looks all speed. You remember what we were saying about the bumpers? Sometimes if you get a horse that's, develops physically a little earlier, sharper type, they've got that advantage there. Yeah, I wonder a little bit, is she a bit like that? 2 mile, is it 2 mile one even on that stiff track at Cheltenham? Probably some dig in the ground. I'm not sure that's going to be her bag. I can see her doing well maybe around the likes of Kempton. After Christmas maybe Nicky or Dan Skelton or someone might have something. But in any case, when she gets to Cheltenham, yeah, I'd have them reservations. Now this is where my other bet came in. I've mentioned her before, Brighter Days Ahead. You might have, if you remember, I said I backed this horse for this race after a bumper run, before she ran at Fairyhouse anyway. I don't think I've ever backed a horse for a novice hurdle at Cheltenham on the back of one bumper run. I'm pretty sure I've never done that before, but there was something about this filly that I just loved. Yeah, she went from there to Fairyhouse. This was on the same card. We sadly lost Mighty Potter. She's a half sister to Mighty Potter. Yeah, she won the bumper, that €100,000 bumper to the winner. I'd imagine if she goes on and wins at Cheltenham, it'd be quite emotional, I'd imagine, for the team. But you're not, if you back this horse, you're not just buying into a fairy tale, far from it. She's got gears, she's got pace, and when she gets rolling, she just keeps going. She's like kind of relentless. I look at this horse, she's a fine, big, rangy mare. She's got plenty of scope. I'm no Harold Kirk, but if you stood this horse next to Dysart Enos in a field, there's only one horse you're coming home with there, She's got loads of scope. She's gorgeous, she is. Yeah, I'm falling for this. She's lovely. She looks like she'd eat that hill at Cheltenham. I think that stiff 2 mile will be right up her street. She looks perfect for the race, I'd say. On top of that, there's strong vibes. The vibes are strong for this horse recently coming out from the stable. That's significant because at this time in the season, September, you make a list of say 20 horses there for Cheltenham, and probably 3 or 4 of them you might not even see all season. The fact that there's strong vibes coming out from this horse, from the stable, tells you that she's come back, she's back in work, she's working well, she's done well over the summer. That's significant. That's You might remember before I said 12-1 would be borderline. I won't put you off. She's 10-1 now. I'd strongly suggest that 10 is worth taking. Now, there's been 8 runners, eight runnings of this mare's novice hurdle. Willie won the first 5. Yeah. The last twice, I think his number 1 got withdrawn the week of the race. Ashrow Diamond and Brandy Love the year before. So obviously Willie's going to have a big say in this. I mean, but even if, say, Aurora Vega has cantered in today and Willie's come out and said, this is the best mare I've ever trained, and she's 7-2, they're not going to push out the prices of the others, They don't tend to do that ante-post. If you could, I would take this filly and Paul Townsend's ride. I think if you go into the mare's novice hurdle with this filly and Paul Townsend's ride, you're going to be in quite a happy place, I'd say. So, however you like to play, if you like to build a book, if you like to trade off, or just back a couple for each race, I'd suggest the 10 is worth taking, because I think the stable tours will be out soon. Gordon's going to say some lovely things about this horse, and I think on the back of that she'll probably shorten up to say 8s. So the fact she's, the vibes are good, so she's working well, suggests she's probably going to be out maybe in the next sort of 4, 5 or 6 weeks. She's going to come out, win impressive, and then like 8s will be 5s or 6s, I'd suggest. So yeah, gorgeous mare. I like her. I think she's worth getting on your team. So yeah, basically in summary, don't back Dysart Enos, do back Brighter Days Ahead. Okay, last race. I forgot the picture again, it's upstairs. Galloping de Champs. Look, I love this horse. I mean, he's the horse we're all looking for as, if you're a fan of the sport, if you're a trainer and owner, you're looking for a horse. Basically, you want a horse that's going to go to Cheltenham, win a novice hurdle, come back the year after, win a novice chase, come back the year after, win the Gold Cup. That's the dream. And more or less, this is what this guy did. He's the horse you want. Beautiful black, jet black horse, this. He's only a 7-year-old. He's only going to be 8 next year. He's got age on his side. Had 14 starts, 6 over hurdles, 8 chases. I'll just have a couple of small doubts. Firstly, I've never seen a horse transform like he did from one season to the next. He was a bit of a madhead as a novice, bit of a tearaway. Last season, the job Willie did with this horse to settle him, and Paul, to be fair, I've never seen such a transformation. Brilliant training performance. But I just wonder, is he also maturing quick? He's a French year-old, and some of these French year-olds, generalising, some of them can mature quick and kind of go over the peak a little earlier. I wonder if maybe he might do that. Gold Cup, I'd say John Durkin was very impressive. Settled lovely, jumped great, put the race to bed, showed his gears and class there. Irish Gold Cup, yeah. After the last, he powered to the line. I backed the horse again after that. I thought he'd be odds on. I couldn't believe they pushed him out in price. Cheltenham, I'll just look at my notes here. Sketchy early. Early on, you have been really happy with this. I was wondering there, and I'm sure plenty of you were. He went till really 6 out when he latched on. Ahoy Senor came down. He schools well. Yeah, Ahoy Senor came down. And yeah, he suddenly appeared there, tagged on to the leading bunch, travelling well. I think from then on in, we were happy, weren't we? But he was untidy 5 out, and he hit 3 out. I'd say that would be, on a whole, his worst jumping performance. Just worth a mention anyway. Hit the line hard. Jesus. He kept running all the way up till there, as is his one. He does this. He just powers through the line. And they struggle to pull him up. But that's another little niggle, because a bit like Allaho, he is hard on himself in a race, He puts it all in. Obviously, he got beat at Punchestown. It's not ideal. It happens, I'm feeling, but it's still there, But it's 2-1. It's 2-1. Do you really want to be taking 2-1 in September for the Gold Cup? I just can't do it. I can't. I'd have to say no. If this horse comes out and he proves he's as good as ever, then I'd, none and no bet time. If he's around even money, even a shade odds on, maybe, 2-1 now. No. But yeah, he's a good horse. That's it. Yeah. Next week, I'm not sure. I've got plenty on. If not next week, it'll be the week after. Just coming up to the hour mark. So if you're still watching, firstly, well done. And secondly, thank you. I do appreciate your time. I really do. So yeah, have a good weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.